Do you got a Q extension in that bag, or are you just happy to see me? Well...
Welcome to Pull Addiction, where I like to do pool and billiards equipment reviews as well as anything pool and billiards related for that matter. Today we're going to be reviewing something that's supposed to help you with those long, hard to reach shots. Now when dealing with these long, hard to reach shots, you have a few options at hand available to assist you. First is the bridge, but not everyone is comfortable using a bridge, or they may not have been taught the proper technique with using a bridge. Another option is to use some kind of extension for your cue. That leads me into today's review, and it's a definite watch before you buy. And we're talking about the Universal Extreme Q extension. Now I bought this thing when I was playing a lot on some 9-foot tables, and it was for shots that I didn't necessarily want to use a bridge for, and I came across this, and I thought, man, this extension is pretty nice. I can use it with any cue that I'm using at the time, and it also telescopes. Well, that's kind of where the enthusiasm for this thing stops. Now, before I start my harsh criticism of this Q extension, let's go over some of its features. The size of this thing is 12¼ inches retracted and 17¼ inches extended, and the widest dimension is 1¾ inches. It weighs 6.9 ounces, it's made out of aluminum, plastic, and has a foam grip. And like I said, it telescopes for longer shots. So how this thing works is you have your cue butt here, and it slides onto the end of the cue butt, and you're supposed to tighten it down with this little adjustment knob here, and it's supposed to give it a nice secure fit. Well, that's fine and all, but how does it really work in the real world? Now for the problems I have with this thing. First off, it's big and bulky, and it's really hard to fit in your bag. And the securing mechanism where it secures to the cue butt, it's really hard to get on and off. And by the way, it also scratches the finish of your cue, so it does damage it a little bit. It's surface scratches, but it's still scratches. So what are some better options out there other than this cue extension? Well, the first one I would recommend is getting an extension that screws on the bottom of your cue. That is, if you're lucky enough to have a company that makes an extension for their cues. They're more expensive, but they're 1,000 times better, and here's an example of one. And some of the companies even make them in a telescoping option. If you're wondering which companies use their own, make their own cue extensions, they are Predator, Q-Tech, Mez, McDermott, Joss, Jacoby, Pachauer, Action, Tiger, and Langoni. Balance Right doesn't make their own regular playing cues, but they do make an extension system for the Lucchese, Players, and PureX lineup. The price range of these types of extensions range anywhere from $75 all the way up to $150 depending on what length and brand you buy. Another option to use is an extension that goes between the cue butt and the shaft, like the Balance Right joint extension. But evidently there's a lot more other companies out there other than just Balance Right that make these type of extensions. Those companies are Q-Max, McDermott, X5, Riley, and Viking. I might have missed a couple there, but you can see there are options. The price ranges for these joint extensions can range anywhere from $30 all the way up to $60. One interesting thing I found when I was doing my research on the joint extensions is that Q-Max not only makes a joint extension, but they also make joint adapters, so you can use different threaded shafts with your cue butt. I see another review on the horizon. Now I haven't tried any of these personally, but people that use these type of joint extensions typically use them all the time as a part of their game. An area of concern for me would be these joint extensions on how much they throw the balance of your cue off and how hard is it to get used to. Also, unless you plan on using it all the time, you're gonna have to break down your cue every time you use one. So that's my negative review on the first negative review of this channel. In my opinion, you can do much better than this option, the Ultimate Cue Extension. And there are similar styles out there other than this, but I didn't want to mention them today because I don't know much about them and I haven't had an opportunity to try them. So that's the reason why I left them out. My initial suspicion though is they probably are much like this particular item here. So that's it. As always, I'll put links in the description below if you still want to buy this thing, and they're non-affiliated links. And if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe. And also watch my other video on the pool gloves and get into that giveaway. And I'll see y'all in the next one.